Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm the creator of Night Study Room, and on this channel I create ambiance videos, things like rain, snow, fireplaces, and calm background scenes that people can use to study, relax, or unwind. Today I want to do something a little different and walk you through how I actually create these ambiance videos, step by step using Final Cut Pro. I've been working with Final Cut Pro since around 2015, both for personal projects and content creation, and over the years I've developed a workflow that feels natural and efficient for me. I'm also a content creator myself, so I'm always thinking not just about how something looks, but how it feels over time, especially for longer videos meant to play in the background. Ambiance videos aren't just about fast cuts or flashy effects, but they're really about layering, visuals, sound, and motion. When someone clicks on an ambiance video, they usually want consistency. They want something that feels steady, immersive, and easy on the eyes. I usually start with the base layer, something like a cozy interior, large windows, or a fireplace scene. When choosing visuals, I look for a strong focal point, depth like windows or scenery outside, lighting that isn't too bright, especially for nighttime viewing. I want the scene to feel like it could exist in real life. Once the base image is in place, I start layering subtle motion. This could include fireplace movement, rain falling outside the window, or snow drifting slowly. The key here is restraint. Too much motion can feel distracting, so I usually keep everything slow and natural. Inside Final Cut Pro, masking is where a lot of the realism comes from. I'll use draw masks or Luma keying to isolate areas like windows, fireplaces, or outdoor scenery, so motion only happens where it makes sense. This step takes time, but it's what separates a flat image from something that feels alive. Sound is just as important as visuals, sometimes more important. I layer different audio tracks like rain, wind, or fire crackling depending on the different ambiance video that I'm working on, and I always make sure nothing is too sharp or repetitive. The goal is something you can listen to for a long time without getting fatigued. When exporting, I keep everything simple and consistent, usually longer timelines, steady visuals, and clean audio levels. These videos are meant to be played in the background, so stability matters more than complexity. If you're just starting out with ambiance videos, don't worry about making everything perfect right away, especially if you're just starting out with Final Cut Pro. This is a creative process and it gets better with time. Every video teaches you something new about pacing, sound, and atmosphere. So at this point in the video, I'm really just refining the scene rather than adding anything new. You'll notice that this particular setup has multiple window panels, and that's something you always want to pay attention to before you start animating anything. Since there are 3 separate window panels here, I'm actually creating 3 individual masks, rather than trying to use one large mask across the entire window area. This gives me a lot more control over how the snow and movement behaves in each section, and it keeps everything feeling more realistic. Even small differences in perspective or lighting between window panels can become noticeable over a long ambiance video, so separating them early really helps. Masking and keying are really the backbone of ambient style videos. Once you understand these 2 tools, you can create almost any environment you want. Rain, snow, fire, fog, river, without the scenes feeling artificial. I tend to think of masking as placement and keying as blending. Masking decides where something happens, and keying decides how naturally it fits into the scene. This particular scene is set up from a couch level point of view, which is intentional. I like using separate perspectives for ambiance videos because they feel more personal, almost like you're already in the room. When you're working with a POV like this, it's important to think about what the viewer's eye would naturally be drawn to if they were actually sitting there. In this scene, the fireplace acts as a visual anchor. Once the windows are masked and the snow is placed correctly, I can shift my attention to the fire itself, adjusting the movement, brightness, and rhythm so it feels warm but not distracting. I also want to share a few Final Cut Pro workflow tips that have helped me a lot over the years, especially when creating ambiance style videos like these. One of my biggest things I can recommend is labeling everything clearly. When you're working with multiple masks, key layers, sound effects, and animations, things can get messy very quickly if you're not organized from the start. I like to rename my clips as I go, for an example, labeling things like windows, left side, middle window, fireplace, animations, or ambient sound layers. It might feel like it slows you down at first, but it actually saves a lot of time later on. Once everything is labeled, grouped, and flowing nicely, you can focus more on the mood of the scene rather than the technical clutter. And that's really the goal, creating something that feels intentional, balanced, and easy to return to. Next up, I'm going to focus on the fireplace since it's one of the main focal points of this scene. For the fire, I'm using a Luma Key layer rather than masking it manually. In this case, Luma Key works really well because the fire footage already has a strong contrast between the flames and the background. Instead of creating a mask, I'm adjusting the Luma Key settings so that only the brightest part of the fire remain visible. This helps use the flames blend more naturally into the existing fireplace. I'm also using the Distort tool here. Distort is especially helpful for fireplace scenes because it lets you shape the fire so it can actually fit the opening of the fireplace rather than looking flat or pasted on. By gently adjusting the corners and edges, you can make the fire appear like it's sitting deeper inside the fireplace and flowing naturally upward. I usually take my time with this step, making small adjustments and playing the clip back a few times to make sure the movement feels realistic and not distracting. Once the fire is layered correctly, I add lots of warmth and depth to the scene by adjusting these layers here, and it helps ground the entire composition. After this, the rest of the ambiance like snow or rain becomes much easier to balance because the fire is already doing a lot of the visual work. Basically, what you're seeing now is me just fine-tuning the fireplace. This part of the process is usually pretty repetitive, but it's also one of the most important steps. I basically just go back and forth adjusting. I like to use the distort feature a lot because it really makes it look like the fire is sitting in that fireplace very naturally. I like to pay close attention to how the flames move to the edges of the fireplace and make sure nothing feels too sharp or distracting. After that, I move on to a smaller section and little details like steam coming from the cup. For this steam, I'm using a similar layering approach, keeping it very soft and subtle and making sure I drag down that opacity as well. Steam is one of those details that people don't always consistently notice, but it really adds to the sense of warmth and realism in the scene. Again, I take my time here making small adjustments and checking how it looks when everything is playing together with the fire, the background, and the ambient motion. Honestly, the most important thing that you want to do when you're creating videos like this is you're just taking your time to re-watch everything just to make sure it all flows. You're probably going to take majority of your time just re-watching the screen, making sure the fire is flowing correctly and the steam is flowing at the right opacity. So definitely do not rush this part. Once everything feels balanced, I start prepping the project for export, and I love that Final Cut Pro does give you the option to customize your export settings, so I'll definitely do another video on that. But I'll go ahead and rename the final compound clips, double check that nothing is muted by accident, and confirm that all layers are organized. I usually export the final video as a high quality file and save it to my Lacie hard drive. It just makes it a lot easier so the files are not stored on my MacBook. Organization really matters when you're creating ambiance videos regularly because it keeps the process calm and efficient. My goal with these videos is to show the creation process behind the ambiance content in a way that feels calm, intentional, and approachable, especially if you're interested in creating your own scenes. Thank you so much for watching and spending your time here. I really appreciate it. If this video is helpful, feel free to explore the rest of my channel, and you can subscribe if you like to see more behind the scenes and ambience content. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.